just been here forever. Oh, okay. So I was trying to decide what I was going to talk about tonight. In the last Halloween extravaganza, I talked about like a bunch of my fears. And as I was trying to decide, one of my longtime old friends ended up messaging me because he just had a new baby like a month ago. And it reminded me of my greatest fear, children. Because children are terrifying. I've talked about before how I don't want kids. The idea of me reproducing should not only scare you, but it terrifies me as well. It's just not my vibe. But then like children in general, like they have different aspects of them that scare the bejesus out of me. The number one thing is their shoes. Yes, I know most people think baby shoes are super cute. They're so small. And I'll admit, sometimes I'll see a baby shoe and I'll think, no, that's really cute. That is actually cute. But then I think about it. Why do they need shoes? They are babies. Babies do not need shoes. They are not going anywhere. Or are they creeping off in the middle of the night, just wandering about, striding on their little feet, getting all over the place and touching things with their hands? Another thing that creeps me out, their hands. They're so small. Like everything about them is so small. It's like a person, but smaller, which I get that that's the point. The point is that a child is a small adult person, but I don't like it. I don't like that they are this tiny little thing that's going to sprout at some point into a huge adult person. And this might be because I've had some interesting encounters with children, one of which left me scarred for life, and now I can't eat cheese puffs at parties. I was at this community event, and there was this bag of cheese puffs, which are frankly one of my favorite party foods, or they were before that day. And there's a child sitting next to it, just a small, regular sized child, I suppose, sitting next to this bag of cheese puffs. And I go over and I take out a cheese puff and I pop it in my mouth. And instead of getting the normal crunch of the cheese puff, the taste of the cheese, instead I just get this like kind of soggy wetness, this vague hint of fake cheese, which is not what you want when you're eating a cheese puff. You want like a mountain of fake cheese. You want an avalanche of it to coat the inside of your mouth. That's not what I was getting. I was like, why is this cheese puff different than all the other cheese puffs I've ever consumed in my life? And that's when I realized this devil child was taking the cheese puffs out of the bag, sucking on them, sucking off all the cheese, the cheesy goodness, and then reinserting the cheese puff, the now licked cheese puff, into the bag. It was the worst realization to have at a party. I mean, I'm sure there's worse, but this was terrible. It was, and I had that in my mouth. So I, of course, now need to spit it out. So I'm looking for napkins because unlike the child, I am not going to spit it into the bag like a heathen. And that's why I don't like eating around children at parties now, because I just assume they have sucked on every item that is out for food and have just reinserted it into the packaging to fool me. Because cruelty, I don't know. I don't know why somebody would do that to you. But yes, so now I have problems eating around children at parties. They do terrify me in that way. But you know, the big thing is I wouldn't want the responsibility of raising a person. You know, I'm currently in the process of just handling the responsibility of an elderly cat. My cat is technically a senior, and like that's too much. So the idea of having like a miniature goblin creature that's trying to become a human, like an actual useful human person, it's a little much. It's a little beyond the pale for me. I won't be having that. But I do enjoy spending time with kids. I think it's the idea of being able to hand them back to somebody. Like, you know, once they've kind of started screaming constantly, like no, like you take them now. They're not fun anymore. They're not entertaining. You know, once they like poop themselves, that's not something Caroline does. I've never changed a diaper. I'm not sure how I've dodged it this long, because as we all know, I'm now 30. I have not changed a diaper in 30 years. So I'm not sure if I want to change that this decade. I'm not sure if that's a goal I want to set for myself, because the idea of wiping another human's butt, despite the size of it, just doesn't appeal to me. You know, there's something like, I've heard people talk about like the shooting up the back, where the poop launches itself up the spinal column of the baby. That doesn't enthrall me at all. I don't find that cute. I don't think anybody finds that cute. But the fact that it could do that at any moment also terrifies me. How do you know you're not going to have a poop explosion on your hands? How do you know that this child isn't suddenly going to launch a nuclear grenade in the small cloth, plasticky, papery material that you wrapped around it and are just hoping it's going to contain this whole nuclear bomb-like situation? I don't trust that. I barely trust Ziploc bags, and that's not a Ziploc bag. There are holes and crevices in that thing. I mean, there has to be. The little kid needs to put its legs out somewhere, but it is not a sealed container. It is not a vacuum sealed box around the detonation zone. So it could end up anywhere, and that's just too much risk. I won't have it. So in short, if you're going to leave your child alone with me, make sure there is another adult. Anyway, that's me. I guess I'll interview myself.